Hey there everyone, Drew Goldfarb from DGPicks.com. We talked about the Edmonton Oilers yesterday. Let's talk about the Florida Panthers and continue our Stanley Cup Final breakdown. For the second year in a row, they are the Eastern Conference champions. We're in the Cody Rhodes shirt. You know who I'm pulling for, so, finish the story is what I'm looking for here. We had WrestleMania 39 a year ago for the Panthers in Vegas. This is WrestleMania 40, at least I'm hoping so as a fan. So let's talk about the Florida Panthers, though, because they were in a position last year. They lost to the Vegas Golden Knights, very banged up in that Stanley Cup Final series, losing the series 4-1. First Stanley Cup Final victory in franchise history in a game, which they picked up in game number 3 of that series. This postseason, they've continued to be great. Matthew Tkachuk, better than a point per game. Carter Verhaeghe, Alexander Barkov, exactly a point per game. 17 points apiece through 17 postseason games that they have played. Florida Panthers, the best goal differential in the regular season in the NHL, and they were only 4 points back of the New York Rangers for the best record in the NHL during the regular season. This team they did not have that hangover that you would expect out of a team that went to the Stanley Cup Final last year and did not win. They have been possessed by getting back to this point and making sure that they are not on the losing end of another Stanley Cup Final series like they were against the Vegas Golden Knights last year. And they have basically pulled it off. Sergei Bobrovsky, 35 years old, 12-5 in the postseason this year, goals against average of just 2.2. And the Florida Panthers have been great about limiting opportunities against it because the save percentage is below 91% in the postseason so far, but only at 2.2 goals against average. And that's because the shots that he has faced is not nearly as high as you might expect. 415 shots in 17 games is an average of below 24.5 shots on goal per game. Bobrovsky has done exactly what he's needed to do, but it's been the Panthers' offense and defense that have kept the puck away from the opposition and kept the pucks away from their goal. Bobrovsky has done exactly what he's needed to do. He has been great in net. Great goals against average, a very good save percentage this season. He was great for the Cats in the postseason last year as well, helped them go on that big run. This team, when I was talking about the Edmonton Oilers, I talked about looking at them in two parts this season. You eliminate those first 13 games because they really are not the same team as they were in their first 10 to 15 games they played this year. For the Florida Panthers, what I want to point out is who this team has been. If you go back 2.5 years, the Panthers were the President's Trophy winners. They made a coaching change, brought in Paul Maurice. He basically had a little bit of figuring out time with his team. Once that clicked, about a quarter of the way, midway through last season, a year and a half ago, this team got right back to being that President's Trophy contender and one of the best teams in the NHL that they had been the year before. Not a good postseason run that year, but they did have an amazing regular season. Last year, they had that great second half. Not quite what the Oilers had in their 69 games under Knoblauch this year, but an amazing second half and an amazing postseason run where they beat anybody and everybody until they were banged up and ran into a just buzzsaw in the Vegas Golden Knights. This year, I personally expected them to have a bit of a slower start. I thought they'd get right back into it, but I figured it would be similar to the previous season. It wasn't. They were right at the top of their division, right at the top of the Eastern Conference from day one of this season, and they have just continued to be completely outstanding and amazing all year. Bobrovsky, regular season save percentage, 91.5%. Goals against, below 2.4. Fantastic numbers there. Sam Reinhart had 94 points in the regular season. Matthew Tkachuk, 88. Sasha Barkov, 80 points in 73 games played. Carter Verhaeghe also topped 70 points, 72 of them playing 76 games in the regular season. Now, in the postseason, when you're talking about Sam Reinhart, his numbers have not been exactly what they were during the regular season, but still 8 goals, 4 assists through 17 games. He could still have some room to turn things back up like he did during the regular season, and this is a team that didn't really have any issues so far in the postseason. Really, it's amazing what they did against the New York Rangers. It's amazing what they did prior to the Eastern Conference Final as well. This team has been incredibly consistent. So when you have the Edmonton Oilers and we talk about you got to throw out those first dozen plus games that they played until the coaching change, for the Florida Panthers, I'm encouraging you to look in the opposite. I'm encouraging you to look at this team and say, This team has been good this year in the postseason, this year in the regular season, last year in the postseason, last year in the regular season, the year before in the regular season, they were great. This team is great, and that's why they're here, and that's why they're playing the Edmonton Oilers and trying to win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. Now here you're seeing this video in 3 separate parts, the Oilers, the Panthers, and the betting picks. But if you head on over to dgpicks.com or patreon.com/Drew Goldfarb, you can see all 3 picks, the full video. It's live right now, and your first week is free. dgpicks.com or patreon.com/Drew Goldfarb. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on who will win this series, and I'll see you next time.